Right, everyone, Qatar Sprint race. Let's go. It is a sprint weekend at Qatar. And Verstappen and Piastri within a race win of Lando. So if Lando doesn't get a good result here, and you can see he's starting P3, Alonso in P4. But Verstappen P6, Tsunoda out of nowhere, P5. Maybe Red Bull have put a penny in the meter of the second Red Bull car. I'm just getting the feeling this could be quite interesting. This could be quite interesting because I've said for a while now, I think Russell is going to be a protagonist in this championship. Are we live, by the way? Hopefully we're live. Hopefully it's all working. Let me know. I think Russell's going to be a protagonist in this championship. Oh, we should get the F1 wheel here. We should get the F1 wheel. And it's not going to be easy, I think, for Norris to pass him. And also, what is Norris going to do if he gets past Russell? Is he just going to sit in P2? Or is he going to go for it? Because it's a bit like Rosberg-Hamilton stuff. If Norris crashes into Piastri, Norris has the high ground because he has the baked-in points advantage. So if they were to both crash out, let's say Norris and Piastri were to both crash out here and in the race, for example, Norris goes into Abu Dhabi 24 points ahead of Piastri, aka Piastri needs to win and Norris needs to not get a point. However, that doesn't take into account Max Verstappen. So Max Verstappen is still somehow, just with his fingernails, I think, kind of kept in this race. Yeah, the race hasn't started yet. Don't worry. I got you. 39 minutes. Do a pit stop. Verstappen damaged the car. I mean, you couldn't write it really. You couldn't write it with the disqualification. Honestly, at Las Vegas, that disqualification but is very interesting because if the McLarens had got disqualified earlier in the season for that, when Verstappen was on the rise, that would have been very, very, very interesting from a timing perspective. Yeah, we like to hang out a bit here. So what's going on with Verstappen? What's going on? What's the situation with the car? Oh no, that's just the likes. That's just the likes. We're trying to get up there on the like front. I'm not gonna be in Abu Dhabi, so Abu Dhabi's not happening, which is fine. So I'll be here for Abu Dhabi weekend, which is also Formula E weekend. So we'll try and do both. We'll see what we're doing with Formula E next season. I've been swapping messages. That's good. Verstappen did try and change a few things in the steering wheel. Didn't make much difference. Well, let's see. Let's see for Verstappen, because he's got Antonelli behind him, and he's got Leclerc out of position as well. Welcome Yanis, welcome Chaya, Nye as well. Who else is here? Vlak is here, all good with the live, very good. Mobile Lima 53, the 53rd Mobile Lima. Yeah, normally I haven't been that interested for sprint races, but I think this sprint race, it's going to be an interesting dynamic of how people are driving. Welcome Darren Bradbury as well with the 12-month badge. Feel free to spam some emojis in there, Darren. You can also do your member recognition thing. There should be an option somewhere you can you get a free member recognition thing. Welcome Hamad Dahaluk 051886. Not to be confused with Hamad Dahaluk 051885. Obviously, we wouldn't do that. There we go. Spamming the emojis. I'm going to spam Verstappen in there. Verstappen with some issues. That's what he's thinking right now. But yeah, that McLaren double disqualification hasn't stopped Piastri putting it on pole here. And the tolerances, to be fair, like the tolerances are very, very, very small. It reminds me of Hamilton's wing in Brazil 2021. Wasn't it 0.001 or something? The tolerances are crazy small. But they obviously knew about it with Lando. They seem to be more worried about Lando last week than Piastri, dare I say. Welcome, Martin Harmson. Good to see you. Feel free to absolutely destroy the like button on the way in, everyone. By the way, let's get these lights pumping. Let's get the lights pumping for the sprint race in Qatar, and then we'll be doing qualifying later as well. I think at some point in sprint race quali, the difference between P1 and P15 was about a second half. That's quite a big margin. Does that mean a lot of teams have been worried about their limit? So the plank measurements, Lando Norris was 0.1 of a millimetre off, basically. And on the rear right, he was 0.07 of a millimetre off. I think a millimetre is actually quite a lot in Formula 1 terms when you think about it. But 0.07 of a millimetre is getting fine, super fine margins. But you've got to remember, over the course of a race, that can make a big difference. When drivers are going around, look how long this lap is. This is a long lap at Qatar. And if you're getting a position in qualifying by a tenth of a second, and it's often a lot less, let's say a tenth of a second, you can see how a millimetre of ride height would make a difference. Welcome Marius C. Bears as well. Hamad, it's a crazy race, back-to-back corner, 16 and 17. You can see it on the screen, my friend. It's there on the screen. You used to go every year to Bahrain, Saudi, Qatar and Abu Dhabi. Are you going to go to the finale then? All drivers between 1 and 15 were finishing within 1 second. I don't think that's that unusual, to be honest, at the end of regs. I would like to see qualifying sessions where like there's big gaps and someone, you know, remember when Verstappen would get on pole by like 7/10 and we're like, that's just insane. So, Qatar. It looks a little bit like Bahrain to me. Like, the last bit of the circuit kind of looks like Bahrain. The MotoGP is quite fun. But like, if you woke up and you were a bit like you were a bit sleepy, I think you could get confused like whether this track is Bahrain or Qatar. You're from Kuwait, so all these races are too. Oh, you are going to Abu Dhabi, so you are a person on the ground next week. So we're gonna need you. We're gonna need you next week to give us the. You got to send us a picture in Discord. Can you get into the paddock? So what are we thinking, chat? What are we thinking in terms of who's going to win the sprint? Is it possible Russell could win the sprint? What do we want? There we go, Flaticus got the Discord. What do we want? I think what we want, what I would like, I can't speak for anyone else, what I would like is I would like the gap to close up at the front. So therefore, I'd like Piastri to win the race, sprint race. I'd like Verstappen to make headway. Presumably he's going to get a free position off Tsunoda, and presumably he'll get Alfonso as well. But that means Verstappen will be losing ground to Lando. Ideally, we want Verstappen. Again, shouldn't speak for anyone else. it would be interesting, from my perspective, if Piastri and Verstappen were to finish ahead of Lando. Hamad, your cousin works in McLaren. I'll be then paddock. You got to get us that access for next year. You got to get us that access. When you're there, show your cousin our award-nominated F1 streams, and next year we'll be in there in the paddock, surely. Martin saying last year Verstappen was 6th in the sprint and later he won the main race. Norris mentioned in post-qualifying interviews it's next to impossible to overtake here, so he's going to try and overtake Russell at the start. That I like that attitude because it kind of like is a bit of game theory. It's like saying to Russell, I'm going to send it on you on the start. So what does Russell do with that information? Does he panic a little bit? They give so much for free. Can you get free to? Can I go there for free? Will they pay for my flights as well? These are the contacts I need. I'll sit in the grandstands. I'll fill it up. There we go. Hammer's going to give us just a little mention. We'll see what happens. Make sure to jump in the Discord. I'll send you some photos of me at the McLaren Technology Centre so they can see that I'm a real dude, a real McLaren fan. Just ignore this. Ignore this, but show them this. A nice McLaren jumper. It's too hot for the McLaren jumper right now. JK says you don't think it's strange snows up the front. I think if you're Red Bull and if there's 5% of a championship win here for Max, I think you make Tsunoda's car illegal. You make Tsunoda's car illegal, so you basically just put a new engine in or something and don't tell the FIA. I mean, I don't think you can do that with serial numbers, but things like that you can do, dark arts. And you take penalties for Tsunoda after the season. That's what I think you do. Did anyone else agree with me or not? Marusi says best drivers on the grid at the moment: Max, Russell, Charles. He just needs to get away from Ferrari. There were rumours of Charles going to was it Aston Martin? There were rumours of. I think I saw. They give it to major companies. Damn. Wow, look at the speed some of these cars are going out. Charlie says Verstappen is surely going to send it if he can. A line that is watching his prey. Verstappen almost has nothing to lose. Almost has nothing to lose, I'd say. By the way, I just wonder whether Verstappen, if he hadn't made any mistakes this year, whether he would win this championship. And we're talking about, let's say he's already the best driver in the world, but we're talking about 100% perfection, which should not be expected of anyone. But let's just say, how many points does he get from Barcelona? Is there anything he could have done in Austria to not get taken out? I don't think so. I think Kimi was just coming through like a freight train. Is there anything else Max Verstappen could have done? Hamad goes yearly and pays for tickets and hotels. How much do the hotels cost? Are there loads of hotels? McGurkin says, same here. I don't really want Verstappen to win the championship, although I appreciate he probably deserves it. But if we can get it close for Abu Dhabi, it'd be incredible. So there is a chance this weekend. Norris can win the title this weekend, right? In fact, isn't it very easy for Lando to win the championship this weekend? Because if Lando wins the race, hang on, chat, what's the math saying here? If Lando wins the race, Piastri finishes P2. Let's forget the sprint race at the moment. Ignore there's a sprint race. If Lando wins the race and Piastri finishes P2, has Lando won the championship? Because as long as Lando goes into next week with more than 25 points, he's won. advantage. So I think he has won the championship if Lando wins the race tomorrow. And then, so... let's see. Hamad, my cousin, they are in the Bahrain investment. Hamad, that's the context I'm talking about. You're speaking my language now. You're speaking my language. Bahrain test. Don't they do the Formula 1 test in February in Bahrain? I'm free in February. I'm there. I'll wear the McLaren thing. I'm saying if Kimi did not take out Max. Yeah, exactly. That Kimi crash. But that is part of the luck you're going to have in championships. Bad luck and good luck like that. Right, Lando's being carted to his grid slot. So we're just 25 minutes away from the start of the sprint race. Chaya says, I think it was 2-3 points more than Verstappen or Piastri Norris wins. Yeah, so a race win guarantees that. Verstappen doesn't have the car anymore he used to have. Everyone has caught up with McLaren now possibly. Yeah, but that's a little bit of a simplistic take on this season, I say. Because there was a time when Verstappen was seemed to be doing the impossible. Even the grandstands are about $70-80. It seemed like a bargain now, really. So cars are on the grid, everyone. We're getting ready for the sprint race. So given that if there was no sprint, if Lando was to win the race, he would win the championship. Piastri and Verstappen need to take as many points. So if Verstappen almost here, he has to send it. He has to send it. Hamilton, Stroll, Gasly and Colapinto starting from the pits. And look at Tsunoda. We said last week, we said it in the stream last week at Vegas. We were like, this is the time for Tsunoda to finally get there ahead of Verstappen and be a battering ram. Dan Shonto, good morning. Mushy peas for brekkie. No, I had pasta. And I don't like mushy peas anyway. Marusi, let's hope Piastri wins. Lando makes oops and then Max wins the race. There's a lot of pressure on Lando here. Like, it almost feels like if Lando wants to be a world champion, this is like a final test. This is like a final test for Lando where he has to go through these fires with all the pressure. Dan's going to make some biscuits and gravy. We talked about this a few years ago on this stream. I don't understand what biscuits are in that context. Yeah, we see Stroll, Hamilton, Gasly, Colapinto start from the pits. Tsunoda's got to do something. Tsunoda's got to overtake Alonso. Interestingly, the rumours are that Tsunoda might go to Aston Martin and be Alfonso's teammate or replace Alonso. So, but if you get Tsunoda in close proximity to Lando, maybe that will make Lando a bit more scared and Lando's going to have to send it on George. I just think the first few corners of this sprint are going to be unmissable. You're going to want to be here for the first few corners. Apparently there's a bit more wind at the track. Let's see, weren't there issues a few years ago with the wind at the track here that are pushing all the cars wide and track limits? Hamad, even if Lando wins the sprint, what if he DNFs? Yeah, but... yeah, if he DNFs, everything's on the table. Like, we're at the point in poker where now, like, everyone's all in. So, if you lose a hand, you're done. You're out. You're out of the game. To be fair, if Lando DNF... if the most interesting scenario is, unfortunately for Lando, is if Lando DNFs. Because if Lando DNFs, then we have an actual final race of the season. That's going to be quite exciting. American biscuit is like a bigger, softer, more buttery scone. I had them when I was in New York earlier this year. Some biscuits. But I didn't really know what to do with them. They just seem like they're on the side, but they have a lot of calories in them. It's like so it's not the main thing you ordered, but there's so many calories. It's like I won't be able to eat my main thing. Right, chat, I need to get some thoughts in from you guys. Who are we thinking is going to win this sprint? Who's going to win the sprint race? American breakfast is extremely dense. Qatar are flying a plane over the circuit. And Sky Sports News are on the plane. Sort of blurs the lines, doesn't it, between being news and being promotion a little bit. I'm guessing they've got Starlink on the plane or something. Oh no, he's Sky Sports now. I don't understand with Craig Slater. I've met Craig Slater. I've had a good laugh with him. He's a very fun person. He seems a bit. I bet he has interesting hobbies. Oh, the signal's breaking up for them. But sometimes he's Sky Sports News. Sometimes he's Sky Sports. And I just find that blurring like really fascinating. It would be a bit like, let's say you work for either CNN or Fox News. Let's just give both examples. So you work for CNN and Fox News as news reporter, but then you also sometimes just promote like Lockheed Martin. Like sometimes you're just like promoting Lockheed Martin. Sometimes you're reporting on like wars. That's how I see it. We do often talk about food there. We do. We've even been sponsored by food sometimes. We've even done streams where we've been sponsored by takeaway companies and had people have had discount codes to order takeaway. It's quite fun. Blue Ball saying Russell, McGurk and Alfonso. Hankland saying Russell as well. Okay. Chai, I'm very curious about what Alonso and Snowder are going to do. Well, there's another plane coming around. Is it circling or something? Dan says race winner, Lando, GP winner, Lando. So you're going for the double on Lando. Do I still play GT7? I haven't played for a while. We'll see what happens on Monday with the dailies. I'd like to hit like a hard week on GT7 with dailies. What do you think of the G3 and LMU? I think they're quite easy to drive, which I quite like actually. I think they're now some of the easiest cars to drive. March says multi-crash at the start and after turn 1, Max Verstappen is first. Hamad is predicting someone outside the 3 titles going to Russell for me. Yeah, that would be interesting if the title contenders like are a bit worried. So someone who's not in title contention kind of has less pressure and goes for it. This week's daily is a banger. Which daily race? Which daily race is a banger this week? Right, let me get some different graphics on screen, everyone. Just bear with me. Bear with me a second. Right, let's see if this works. Look at this, absolutely seamless. Seamless. See, other streamers don't build it on the fly. Build it and they will come. Oh, look at this now. Look at this. Nice. We're good, everyone. We're good. The weather's hazy. Yeah, it's in that kind of like dusk, isn't it? Sanquart 9 laps. Oh, they're pulling out all the fan service now. Which version of Sanquart? Dan just says phrasing. What do you mean by phrasing? Hamad, Norris will prove if he can hold his nerve in the sprint for the next 2 races. Yeah, I think if Norris wins it from here, he will have finished on a high and kind of proven that he's world. Not that he necessarily needs to, but in some people's eyes he might need to, proven that he's world championship caliber. McGurkin, that's cool, Hank. Are you playing it on PC or console? What's Hank playing? What's Hank playing? Build it and they will come. It's a quote from a movie, my friend. Right, there's going to be some sort of grid walk, but it's not Martin Brundle. Man, I still need to upload my Monaco grid walk. This week I'm going to upload my Monaco grid walk on the Motorsport channel, which is Formula Fan TV. Welcome Andrew Evans, welcome Spuddle as well. Unfortunately, it is, I hope they're not offended by this, but it is kind of the B team on the grid walk. If they're the B team, I'm the Z team when I'm on the grid. Oh, he's playing Project Motor Racing. Project Motor Racing. What an absolute fire storm there is around that game. Dan's from Iowa. Let's do a nations check. Where are people watching from? As we're 14 minutes away from the start of the sprint. Is it too early for America? Let's see. Let us know where in the world you're watching from. I'm going to say Netherlands. Apsav Netherlands, China Netherlands. Vlatka Croatia. I just had that feeling. I just had that Netherlands feeling. Dismac California. Hank from Scotland. Max from USA. Dan's in Colorado. Marusi South Africa. Jim from Australia. Okay, we've got Australia and USA, so we're covering all time zones, really. Keep them coming in, everyone. Put it in the chat where you're watching from. McGurkin from the UK. Risk of rain, 0%, I'm told.
Keep trying.
It's 1 AM in Australia, that's nice commitment. It's not live. Oh, is that why sometimes we have, like, massive Netherlands contingent? I think we always have a very good Netherlands contingent. Sometimes seem to be massive. We need a South American and Asian. Yeah, do we have... Oh, here we go. Lash is living in Thailand. There we go. We've got Asia. Living in Thailand, but from Netherlands. That's okay. We actually... It's helpful that you're living in Thailand. We just need to get South American now. Red Squirrel is Isle of Wight. So Isle of Wight is kind of the South America of England, I guess. Fernando Alfonso all the way up at the business end of the grid. Oh my goodness, I think the cameraman just took out some lady there. RTL does 7 races a year that you can see from Netherlands. Oh, so you're getting on RTL. Adrian Newey is team principal. I'm not sure that's the best move. I think he's warming the seat for Christian Horner. That's what I think. Mfolo's from South Africa. Very nice. We often have a good South African contingent. Yeah, there's lots of people running around the grid at the moment. Just 11 minutes to go till the start of the sprint race. It's going to be 19 laps of Qatar. It's going to be a sprint. I wonder whether Formula 1 will get to the point there'll just be a race on Saturday, a race on Sunday. And it will be, there'll be no free practice. There will be a different format of qualifying that almost incorporates practice. So you can make changes to your car. And basically it will run as a double. Each weekend will essentially be a double header, where you have qualifying in the morning, some support race. Maybe they'll have some celebrity or like influencer thing as part of it, and then you'll have the main race, press conference, etc. And it'll be like a whole day, and you'll do it all again the next day. So that means if you have triple header weekends, you'll be doing 6 races in 3 weekends, and they're just going to see dollar bills. Adrian left because of Horner. It was all a bit murky. That's when Horner, there was the indictment and everything. Gary Neville's just randomly been doorstep, but it isn't. It's all a Sky. It's all a Sky love in this. Gary Neville in Qatar. There's some interesting dynamics around that. Toto having a casual chat with Max. It's going to start the rumours, isn't it? Marisi, I'm sitting trying to fix my G29 while watching the stream in F1. Hope you get it fixed. Welcome Iron as well. Yeah, Max is saying, sign me up, please. Sign me up, mate. George Russell, his helmet is right by where all the celebrities are coming through. You mean 2 times 25 points? The FIA just come and give George Russell a handshake. What does that mean? Yeah, 2 times 25 points. Do you think Max can win the championship? I think it's at this moment in time, as we sit here in reality and as live, yes, he can. George Russell putting his hairband on. Andrew personally thinks Max will win the championship. That's a big shout. That's a big shout. Wow, they're very casual passing Oscar Piastri's steering wheel around, one-handed. Yeah, I agree with Chai. Everything is still possible at this point. We're just 9 minutes away from the start. Last says, I hope Max wins, of course. Oscar slips into his McLaren. No tyres on the car yet. It's funny, when the drivers jump into the cars where there's no tyres on it, it feels like you could just attach wings to these cars and they would just be fighter planes. Hamad says, even Piastri is a huge shot. It's for Norris to lose. I think it is for Norris to lose. Last time we talked about it and McLaren got a 2 times... I was saying at the end of the stream, I was saying, like, something could happen here. Something could happen with a DQ. And then... I think I woke up and it happened. Lando buckled under pressure. Oscar has lost his confidence. Max is the beast. You say that, Max is all the way down there in P6. Max has been out-qualified by Tsunoda, and that should be massive warning flags. Chaya hopes for no big crash in Turn 1. I think Turn 1 is going to be unmissable. It's going to be unmissable. There's 7 minutes to go, and this is the most pivotal point of the season so far. What happens at Turn 1, Turn 2, Turn 4? What happens at 6? What happens at 10? Andrew wants Oscar to win the championship. So you think Max win, but you want Oscar. Manfolo think champion is Lando, but Oscar and Max are capable of catching up. Well, I asked earlier in the stream and people were saying Russell. People were saying Russell. So we will see. We did think it was about fuel, didn't we? A lot of lift and coast. About not having the sample. We did. And the irony is, if it was about fuel, I think that would have been worse for Lando because Piastri wouldn't have suffered. I mean, can you imagine if Piastri's plank hadn't worn down as much as Lando's? In the end, I think Piastri's plank actually wore down more than Lando's, just so we're clear, but can you imagine... Or can you imagine if Piastri's plank had worn down and Lando's hadn't? Hamad didn't expect Oscar to dip like this for so long. Oscar's definitely dipped. Mary says, F in the chat for G29, PC board damaged. Your PC's damaged. Or the G29. Chaya, I wonder how scared Norris is of Verstappen given all the radio messages. We're about to find out. 5 minutes to go. 19 laps of sprint. George Russell, I think he's going to be a huge protagonist. Huge. How do they not monitor or put a sensor on the plank? It's a good point, having a little sensor there on the plank wearing. Arguably, it would be easier for the FIA, right? So I'm not even sure they scrutinate all the cars at the end of the race. Why did McLaren take a risk to lower the car that much? It's a great point. It's a great point. Maybe because Verstappen is just close enough that he's putting the pressure on. The G29 power adapter touched the pedal port and they made a massive spark and now G29 dead. Maybe you could scavenge another G29 and replace the parts. Maybe you could take a punt on a broken G29 on eBay. Time for an upgrade RS50, or you could go RS50 if you want to treat yourself, but you're talking £600 to treat yourself. I think everyone's starting on medium tyres. That's not what our graphic says, though. Our graphic has some people starting on the hards, which I think is very interesting, because remember, the race tomorrow is going to be a mandatory two-stop race, isn't it? Because they're worried about tyre deg. So you're going to want to have fresh compounds available. So I'm fascinated that if this is correct, that Piastri and Norris are starting on different tyres. I'm fascinated by that. And someone said in the chat earlier that they're not sharing data between the teams at McLaren, or drivers at McLaren. So maybe one of them's got this right, one of them's got it wrong. Menfolo says the first 1 to 4 corners are important. Whoever pits at the 8th lap. You don't pit in a sprint race. Unless they've mandated a pit here, you don't pit in a sprint race. I don't think it's you get a penalty for 125. I just think you have to pit more than twice. But sorry, you have to pit at least twice. But it does also make sense that, therefore, if you just did like 49 laps on one set, you're defeating the point of the safety directive, because it comes from safety, I think. It's very contentious, this mandate. I don't think it's contentious at Monaco. It makes sense at Monaco. But here, because Monaco's not a safety thing, it's about a sporting thing. I think here, when it's a safety thing, it's a bit like the porpoising with the Mercedes, and the other team principals like, just run your car slower. Techno had an issue with PMI recognizing Ace Tech pedals in the control, but games doesn't register. Not for me, I haven't used Ace Tech on it yet. Board scan, I've got a G29 I've only used a few times, like to sell. But post is from Australia to anywhere. Can you sell it in Australia? Post it in our Discord, we've got a buy and sell channel. Welcome Sold Out, long time. Welcoming us, welcoming me, the chat, and the moderators. Okay, so we are very, very, very close now. And you can see that Verstappen's on hards, Norris on hards, Piastri's on mediums. Russell on mediums, scrub mediums. No one wants to use fresh mediums apart from Hamilton. So it seems like fresh mediums are a valuable currency in Qatar right now. A valuable currency. Chat, who's excited for this one? Who's actually excited? I haven't been this excited for a sprint race for a long time. People sitting on hills. Do a pit stop again. Verstappen starting 6th. Right, the mechanics are leaving the cars. It's just the ones on the tyres with the tyre warmers. Can you imagine if a team, like, they unrail the tyre warmers and it turns out that one of the tyres on the wrong tyre? Piastri's definitely on the mediums. My headset is not working, but it doesn't matter. I don't actually need the headset for this. Jim Henry's going for Oscar. Yeah, you got qualifying tomorrow as well. So you got qualifying later today. So tyres are going to be... It's going to be a very, very, very tyre sensitive weekend. Fortunately, for the first time, my headset battery swap is not working. But I don't actually need headphones for this. Just let me know if I'm talking too quiet away from the microphone. But these headphones are like 10 years old. 10 years I've had these headphones on this channel. Oh, Soldat's got a whole trunk of cash. Sold the house. You just converted your house for cash. Very nice. You're going to get a car or something. It's all good. Okay, yeah. Formation lap underway, everyone. Formation lap underway. Has Red Bull removed Lando's tape? I'm not sure. That sounded all like fun and games, to be honest. Oh, we're back. We're back in the game. We're back in the game. Test. No, we're not. It's turned off. We go without them today. We go without them until the other battery's charged anyway. Supervisor going Norris. So formation lap is underway. I'll be a little bit behind with what I'm seeing. I'll be a little bit behind, but I'll call it as I see it, and you'll be a bit ahead on the standings. Remember, turn 1 is going to be absolutely critical here. We've seen some big changes. Remember at Vegas, we saw some big changes. Wasn't it Lando who lost out massively at the beginning, if I remember? George Russell was pretty punchy. We know Verstappen's had some good starts. How's it going to be with Verstappen and Tsunoda? What if Verstappen and Tsunoda come together? That could happen. That could happen. Yeah, Bottas is here with Mercedes, although next season he'll be here with Cadillac. Large under pressure, Piastri and Norris will hit each other in the first corner. Hamilton-Rosberg. We could see a Hamilton-Rosberg style incident here. So as I'm seeing it, the cars are taking their grid slots. You'll be a little bit ahead of me, but I will call it as I see it. Everyone's got their phones out. 2 Alpines at the back, who I think are going to be jumping into the pits. So the front runners have been on the grid for a long time. Lando's in his grid slot in neutral. As Stroll comes in, Hamilton comes in, Gasly comes in, Colapinto all stream into the pits. And I think they've got to maybe make their way to the front before the lights can start. So it's an even longer wait on the grid. So I'm going to call it as I see it. I'm going to call it as I see it, everyone. I'm very excited for this. I've got a little bit of goosebumps here. Still waiting for lights. Green flag man was all behind and waved it, but I think they're waiting for the cars to line up on the pit lane. It's one of the longest waits I've ever seen. Right, here we go. 2 red lights, 3 red lights, 4 red lights, 5 red lights. Red lights go out. Is it a good start for Lando? It's a very good start for Lando. Piastri's going to try and breeze past Russell. He can't do it. There's almost contact between... It's one of the Red Bulls. One of the Red Bulls, it might be Tsunoda, had a great start as well. Alonso's lost out to a Red Bull, but it's still Lando in the P3 here. Piastri in the lead, checking out a little bit. And Russell in P2. And the Red Bulls going side by side. Surely they're going to sort it out. It looked like it must have been Tsunoda letting Verstappen through. So that means Verstappen is up to P4. So we've got Piastri P1, Russell P2, Norris P3, Verstappen P4. Yes, that is how it is. It was very smoothly done by the Red Bulls. I think Tsunoda kind of battered past Alonso and then let Verstappen through. He's played the wingman there. Red Bull know how to do this. If you think back to Abu Dhabi 2021. With Sergio Perez being the Mexican Minister of Defense. So that's where we are at the moment. Piastri is taking points out of Lando Norris. But remember, Piastri's on those scrub mediums, Norris on the hards, Verstappen on the hards also. And it looks like Verstappen is really closing in on Lando Norris here. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. Verstappen on Lando. How's Lando going to deal with this kind of pressure? Knowing that he has the most to lose. Verstappen arguably has very little to lose because no one has expected him to win this championship and no one will begrudge him. It's not going to look bad in the history books here if the team that won the Constructors' Championship the year previously takes one of their drivers to the Drivers' Championship this year. So he arguably doesn't have a lot to lose. That's going to mean that that's going to push, I think, Norris into Russell. So Russell is the key protagonist here. Leclerc has lost a couple of places. I didn't see what exactly had happened there. And you can see that the safety, it's not a safety car, the pit lane starters are all on the back of the pack. They haven't really lost out much at all. Carlos Sainz on the medium tyre is the only person in midfield there on the mediums, everyone else on the hards. As Russell goes basically exactly the same lap time as Piastri, essentially identical, and Norris and Verstappen with identical lap times. It's 2 by 2. Hamad saying yes, he let him pass. 0.4 second gap from Verstappen to Lando, and DRS has now been enabled. Just the one DRS zone here though at Qatar, just the one DRS. In a sprint race that means less opportunities to go through DRS zones where you run out of laps. So Verstappen seems to be all over Lando Norris here. And Tsunoda is just going to kind of almost like creating a bit of space. But it was Piastri and Russell who went faster than Norris and Verstappen last lap. But let's see what happens in the DRS. This is going to be interesting in the DRS zone, because Piastri's not going to have DRS. So let's look at the gaps now. Russell's 1.3 behind. So Russell actually doesn't have DRS. He'll get a nice slipstream but no DRS. But let's see how that works out. But Verstappen is going to get DRS on Lando, and Lando is going to get DRS on Russell here. So at the moment, it's really Russell who's going to get closed down, surely. If Lando can just stay within a second from the detection, but I'm not sure he has, you know. I'm not sure he has. No, he has. Norris activates DRS. Verstappen fastest lap time activates DRS. He's half a second behind. He's not going to be able to do it. But Verstappen in the DRS here. And remember, for the championship, it will close it up. Oh, Leclerc ran really wide, I think, on lap 1. He looks like he might be just struggling a little bit with the balance of the car, potentially. It's not a good end to the season for Ferrari at all. What are we making of the race so far, everyone? Because Verstappen, half a second behind, fastest lap of the race, and that was without DRS. One of my hard drives is making a worrying sound. More cylinders, not that I've heard in terms of the engine regs. Matt Hale says the go-to channel went on a walk in Wales. That's where we're big. Rural Wales. Dominate the airwaves there. So Verstappen looks like he's dropped behind a little bit now. Tsunoda's actually dropping Alonso. Let's keep an eye on Tsunoda's pace. Tsunoda went faster than Piastri last lap, which is quite interesting. So Tsunoda's really found something in this Red Bull. Leclerc's that time was deleted because he ran wide and kicked up the sand. So Verstappen goes over the line again. Piastri with the fastest lap this time. 0.3 quicker than Verstappen, interestingly. So Verstappen with a very bad sector 2. So it looks like either Verstappen made a mistake in sector 2 or he's got dirty air. And he's saying that the bouncing is very bad. On board with Verstappen, it looks like he's in supreme control though. Looks very, very, very smooth and pointed on turning. I guess for Verstappen it's important to stay as close as possible to Norris. Yeah, Verstappen wants to be in contention. There's one way of putting it, which is that you, as a Red Bull, you say, let's just be mathematically in the hunt for the last race, because we're only going to win this championship if both McLarens take each other out. And what's the chance both McLarens take each other out? Maybe 15% or something? So, but at the moment here, he's still losing points to Norris. It's what you call in football a 6-pointer, this. So, I think he should, well, I think it's worth the risk here. I'd say it's worth the risk. Hamad saying Russell doing amazing to keep up. Thanks, Soldat, for hitting that like button. Almost on 50 likes. Let's try and get to 100 likes in this sprint race. We don't often do the sprint races, so... So Verstappen 124.9. Sorry, Norris 124.9. Verstappen 125 dead. Tsunoda 125.1. Verstappen still in DRS. Closes up again to half a second. Norris is not getting DRS from Russell now. Yeah, we'll be live tomorrow as well. Lahaya says Tsunoda is goated. He's still got to work it out. Tsunoda and Verstappen, it was a bit awkward, but then Tsunoda very smartly let Verstappen through. So Verstappen... Remember Norris and Verstappen on those hard tyres? We've seen recently that sometimes a hard tyre seems to be the race tyre, sometimes the medium tyre is the race tyre. Verstappen dropping off there now. Verstappen struggling a little bit. And Norris, I think Norris would be very happy sitting where he is. If the race was to finish like this, I think Norris would be super happy. He might fancy Russell kind of putting some pressure on Piastri. But I think if you were to say to Norris at the end of before this race, would you take a P3 with one of your rivals behind you? I think he'd take it. Norris nearly hit Russell on race start. Again, there's only 2 more race starts to go now. The race tomorrow and the race in Abu Dhabi. And it's the race starts where anything can happen. Norris just needs to finish every race. Right, Verstappen did close up again. But he's in this twisty middle sector, Verstappen really seems to struggle. If you look at the lap times, he's almost a second behind Piastri in the middle sector. It's kind of crazy. It might be the dirty air through here, or he's just not quite hooked up. Or maybe the hard tyre just doesn't quite work as well through here. 13 laps to go in the sprint. Piastri is checking out. Piastri's just managing it. Yeah, it could be dirty air. See, Verstappen drops out of DRS activation range of Lando. And I wonder whether he gets it back going into the last corner or not. I think he might just be dropping out. Why is Sky showing medium for the whole grid? I'm not sure. Although I'm looking, to be fair, I'm looking on board with Verstappen. He's on medium tyres. Verstappen is on medium tyres. So maybe the telemetry is wrong. I'm going to trust my eyes. And Verstappen is on yellow walled mediums. So I'll take a look at Lando as well. Because it could be that the whole grid is on medium tyres. So for me, Verstappen is 100% on mediums. So that graphic is incorrect. I'll try and get a look at Lando. Verstappen seems to be dropping further and further behind here. It's going to be a bit awkward for Tsunoda. What does Tsunoda do in this situation? Tsunoda can't really overtake. Looking at Lewis Hamilton, he's on mediums. Every car I'm seeing is on mediums, so I think all the cars are on mediums. Interesting if there is some telemetry that's wrong, and that's confused some of the mechanics initially, but now it should be clear to everyone. So Verstappen 1.7 seconds off Lando here. Verstappen saying he's constantly jumping, not only bouncing. Some kind of porpoising on that Red Bull. Maybe they're just running it super low. Antonelli will want to get past Alonso. I wonder if the Red Bull pace here is a little bit off, and we'll see if Antonelli gets past, whether he'll start making some headway. Oh, some big carbon fibre came off Carlos Sainz's car. I think he just run over the curb. No, he's on the corner entry. Some big piece of floor bodywork has come off Carlos Sainz's car there. I think it's a little bit offline, so I don't think they'll do a VSC for it. Does Max have a problem? Yeah, he has a problem with the car, for sure. He didn't qualify high up. This is not the weekend they would have wanted. Red Bull could not afford to have a bad weekend. And with his position in the sprint quali, we kind of expect Verstappen to do superhuman things. We shouldn't always expect that. And it seems like he's very much struggling with the car now. Maybe they made the car too good for Tsunoda. Maybe they're like, you know what, we need Tsunoda to be up here. And it's compromised Max. Suzuki, sorry I'm late. How you doing? Not too bad. Hard tyres on the telemetry, also 0 laps completed. Yes. So there must be some issue there. Is it not mind games saying on a certain time until covers come off? I think there is a bit of mind games about it. Tsunoda is lapping just a 10.5 behind Verstappen, but I reckon he's been told to maintain a gap here. Yeah, it looks like some monster sawtooth curbs around Qatar. By the way, look at Hamilton all the way in 18th place. Hamilton is getting dropped by Lance Stroll here. It's pretty ugly for Hamilton. Remember I made content about a year ago saying, not sure it's going to be good for Hamilton's legacy, this Ferrari move. Because you'd never expect to see Max Verstappen back there. Piastri, Russell, Norris, Verstappen, Tsunoda, Alonso with a good P6 right now. Very solid sprint race points for Aston Martin. Chai just hopes Verstappen can finish. Well, this is going to put Verstappen potentially outside of championship contention for Abu Dhabi. Obviously, we still have the race to go. But given I doubt they're going to be able to improve it for the race, it maybe a sprint weekend has come at the wrong time for Verstappen, because maybe Red Bull needed more free practice sessions to work everything out. Because they only had one free practice session. And this is actually why I'd like to see that format I talked about earlier in the stream, where you just give them less free practice. And maybe you allow them to change it more in qualifying. You see black and yellow flags coming out. That will be because some cars will be running wide. Other cars will be following them to keep up. And then it all becomes a bit of a mess. So black and white flags coming out now. Yeah, Verstappen's really dropping off. He's lucky he's got no pressure behind him. With the Ferraris out of position, Antonelli's behind Alonso, and Verstappen's got the best possible protection here that he could have. What is the Verstappen pace compared to other cars? Well, Antonelli's going faster than Verstappen. Alfonso's going as fast as Verstappen. See, the pace and the traffic is just horrendous. Tsunoda's got a black and white flag for track limits. Oh, one of the Ferraris just squeezed out one of the RB cash apps. Who's that? It'll be Leclerc and Lawson. That has to be a penalty for Charles Leclerc. That has to be a penalty for Leclerc. He's absolutely squeezed out Liam. Liam has been asked to give the position back. I completely disagree. I completely disagree with that. Charles Leclerc has completely squeezed Liam Lawson off the track. Tsunoda, by the way, is on 3 strikes. So Tsunoda's in trouble here. He can't... He's going to get a penalty if he goes over the curbs anymore. And I think Lance Stroll as well might also be on a final warning, everyone. Thanks, VNet. Like the stream, 140 views. Yeah, if you're watching the stream, hit the like button, please. They can take data from the sprint, obviously, but they can't change... The cars are in part firme now. They can't change setup. I think I'll try and get another look at that Ferrari incident. Oh, so Leclerc had gone off earlier. It's very difficult to see what's happening. No. That should not be a penalty for Liam Lawson. Actually, he shouldn't have had to give that position back. Like, either I don't know my racing anymore, but that is definitely naughty from Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc is frustrated. He can't keep the car on the circuit. Frankly, I'm surprised he hasn't got a penalty by now. And I think he forced Liam Lawson off track. So that's what I think. Russell with a lap time deleted. Antonelli passed Alfonso. Yes, Antonelli's been unleashed. 7 laps to go. 5-second time penalty has come out here. So someone has got a 5-second time penalty. I'm going to guess it's Leclerc for track limits. But I also think Leclerc should get a penalty. And this is me saying it as a card carrying Tifosi. Hamilton has gained 0 positions. Alfonso won't overtake Max because you think Max is a goat. Well, he's going backwards a little bit anyway. Oh my goodness, Alfonso was well off the circuit. What was Russell doing? Oh no, he was. Kimi, I think, was behind. Alfonso just got a face full of dust. Looks like construction dust. Is it Tsunoda penalty? Is it Tsunoda penalty? Yes, Tsunoda penalty. Tsunoda penalty. Not the first time this season. Maybe Tsunoda's been struggling to try and keep up with Verstappen here. Any one of the... I think Russell's got one. Has any of the top 4 got warnings previously? Any one of the top 4 got warnings as well? Stroll's in the pits, by the way. Maybe he's just had enough. All you got to do in the top 4 is just not get a penalty. This is good for Piastri. Piastri just brings it a little bit closer. It's bad for Verstappen because Verstappen is losing ground. Don't know what Stroll's just going on the soft tyre randomly. Honestly, one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. Comes in on the mediums, comes out on the Red Bull soft tyre just randomly. Maybe they're just doing it for banter. Tsunoda get track limits as well. Oh my goodness, Tsunoda got track limits on the entry. That's so... In a way, that's stupid. He didn't run wide on the exit. He cut the corner on it. He went too wide on entry. This is also why these tracks are a bit stupid. It's just tarmac everywhere with arbitrary white lines. There should be grass and gravel, etc. But I can see what he's doing because he's trying to minimise the potential for getting a track limit on exit. But he tried to stop it so much he got a track limit on entry, which is actually very funny. That's quite funny. I can't believe Lawson had to give that position back. I found that mental. Yeah, it could be data collection for the main race. They could be trying something, or in qualifying. Maybe they got nothing to lose. It could be a few 15 seconds of camera on broadcast. I mean, if I was running a Formula 1 team at the back, I'd be putting stunts like that every race, getting more time for my sponsors. I'd be saying to my sponsors, hey, look at this time we got you to like 1 billion people watching. He says, not sponsoring the stream. Right, Verstappen, 124.7. He's picked up the pace a little bit. That's fastest lap for Verstappen. He's actually now faster than Piastri, faster Fernando. Maybe Verstappen's learning. Maybe he's learning how to drive this car, and it's essentially kind of like a live free practice session for him. Maybe this will help him in qualifying. Leclerc with a 125.9. It's a whole second closer than Oscar Piastri there. I wouldn't be surprised if Piastri is just kind of like managing it now. Why wouldn't you manage it at this situation? Norris getting slightly faster than Russell. Not last lap. Not last lap. I think it shows, if you look at the Antonelli pace as well, it shows that, look at the Stroll pace. So Stroll sets fastest lap, 123.5. So Stroll, by the way, Lance Stroll goes 1.5 seconds quicker faster than Oscar Piastri. It just shows how tyre dependent these races are. It almost feels like it would have been worth starting on the softs. I mean, can the softs, or maybe no, there's no universe in which the softs would work in this race. Verstappen with a 124.581. Again, the leaders all setting their fastest laps. Maybe there could be something with the winds as well. Maybe the winds have changed a different direction, giving a bit of a tailwind now rather than a crosswind. Lance Stroll, 123.5. But now, Lance Stroll, I don't know what he's doing, because he was 2 seconds slower in Sector 1 than Oscar Piastri. I think Lance Stroll might be boxing this lap. I think he's going to be boxing this lap. I'm going to call it here, chat. Lance Stroll's going to box this lap. He'll have done 1 lap on the softs. Am I right? I'm wrong. I'm wrong, but he's also gone 13 seconds slower. Lance Stroll may be a protagonist. What's happening here with Lance Stroll? Because at this rate, the leaders are going to catch him with 2 laps to go. That's a bit unusual. Sonoda's going to get a comfortable P6. 5-second penalty. Oh, yeah. He's 9 seconds ahead of Alfonso. Basically, worth taking some track limits at the beginning, dare I say. Lance Stroll is a box. Now Lance Stroll's picked up the pace. Lance Stroll doing some very weird stuff. I think Aston Martin are treating this like a free practice session. I think he's literally treating it like a free practice session while there's a race going on for the championship, which is quite an interesting dynamic. That's always been the possibility when you think about it. If you are in a car that's not going to score points in the sprint race, why not completely ignore the sprint race and just treat it like a free practice session? What do we think about that, chat? I think Lance Stroll is hacked. It's hacked. And now the Alpines are doing the same thing. So the Alpines are coming out on soft tyres, and they're only a few seconds ahead of Oscar Piastri. He's trying to win this race and close the gap in the championship. We've got a free practice session happening at the same time as a sprint race. This is insane. It's insanity. Yeah, Behrman went off track. Behrman went off track by so far. I think he was actually in Q8 for a bit. I think the GPS, I think he'll have to present his passport to get back onto track. So on final lap, everyone. Final lap here. And it is going to be Piastri, Russell, Norris, Verstappen, top 4. Black and white flag for Antonelli. Black and white flag for Antonelli, and then he had a lap time deleted. So I think Antonelli could be getting a penalty, potentially. Should be good news for Tsunoda. Why waste a set of soft tyres that could be used for quality? They might be scrubbing them. They might be scrubbing them. Did they get points for last lap? Not yet. So here we go. Piastri is just a couple of seconds ahead of behind Colapinto. So that was going to get awkward, but Piastri does win the sprint race and will close the gap a little bit on Lando Norris in the championship. Russell P2, Norris P3, Verstappen P4. So Verstappen loses quite a few points to Piastri and maybe 1 point to Lando Norris. It says Anthony time will be. It doesn't say reinstated. Maybe they reversed it. Maybe they've reinstated this lap. Maybe Mercedes appealed it for some reason. That's very unusual. It looks like his lap 19 was originally deleted. That would have given him a 5-second penalty, but then mysteriously it was reversed. Was Mohammed Ben Sulayem on the phone? That's what the allegations were with Alfonso here a couple of years ago, or in Saudi. Hamilton getting further and further from Hülkenberg. It's been a sorry end to the race for Lewis Hamilton. Right, chat, it is over. It is over. We're going to be back for the qualifying. Can someone let me know what time the qualifying starts? Does anyone know what time qualifying starts? Is it 4 o'clock? Don't tell me it's 4 o'clock. Chat, is it 4 o'clock? 4 o'clock of qualifying time. We'll see whether they're worried about running the planks too low. $7 o'clock for you. It's in 2 hours. Yeah, but it can't be in 2 hours because we're half past 2 in the UK. $6 UK time, I think. 3 hours 30 minutes. 3 hours 30 would make it 6 o'clock. So we're going to be live at... We're going to be live at... should we go live at 5? Should we go 5 live for it? What do we think, chat? What do we think? Six from UK time. Okay, I think we'll go live at 5. How about that? I could always push it back, so... Yeah, 2.5 hours for now. Yeah, Antonelli's under investigation. I think they have now given it to Antonelli. I think they deleted the lap time again. His lap 19's been doing the hokey cokey. He's been in and he's been out. That's a bit of a madness, that one. So Anthony does get a 5-second penalty. Does that impact anything? That's pretty crazy. We need to take a look at that Anthony's lap time. What did he do? Larry said, let's go. Cited such a boring sprint. I don't think it's been a boring sprint. I think again, the expectations, like when they introduced sprint races, I think they hyped them up too much. But it's been a little bit of a mixer. I think the interesting thing is that you could see for the first time, and I'll make a video on this for Formula Fan TV. For the first time, I think we've seen drivers just ignore the sprint race and just treat it like a free practice. Sonoda P5 barely ahead of Alfonso. So there we go. Is that Antonelli with the penalty? So Sonoda, yeah, Sonoda in the end finishes P5. Antonelli barely ahead of Alfonso. Yeah. Alfonso could have got a P5 here. George Russell's got the Mr. Beast logo on his helmet. Yeah, we don't know how much of it was just that's what the pace is and how much of it drivers like, I'm not going to fight. We just don't know. That's the reality of it. That's the reality. Isaac Hadjar sneaking into the top 10, as he often does, in P9. Welcome Dan Loki. Oh, goodness me. Why are they can't be adding more sprints though, because isn't the calendar done? Isn't the calendar done? They can't add more sprints now. Lahai, I feel like just because not a lot of action, it doesn't mean it's boring. I agree. Formula 1 back in the day, there was often not a lot of what you would call action these days in terms of overtaking. But it was definitely exciting. Cited and never liked sprints. Again, I think it's more of the context of the weekend, isn't it? What it does. Maybe 2027. I think there could be interesting stuff with the reg change next year. That means that they try and do things. They try and do things that maybe bunch up or mix up. Do you remember when Ferrari were dominant? They did like the one-shot quali to like basically make it more difficult for Michael Schumacher.
Okay, crack on.
Right, I can hear my baby, everyone. I can hear my baby, so I will be back. Otherwise I would probably actually just stay here and chat. But I will be back at 5 o'clock. I think we'll do for qualifying, which is going to be big. Because if Verstappen or Piastri mess up qualifying Orlando, there's a lot of pressure on qualifying. Bring baby to the chat. I don't think so. Madrid, honestly, I know what's going to happen, right? Madrid will happen if it happens, and it'll be a terrible race, and a load of YouTubers will come out and say, Madrid's been terrible. No one's saying it now. No one's saying now that it's a disgrace that Catalonia's been taken off the calendar for Madrid. I've been to Catalonia many, many, many times to the circuit. I've cycled to the circuit. I've watched MotoGP at the circuit for many years. I've watched Formula 1 at the circuit. I've got my ticket down here that I can't even get off the thing. But, like, Catalonia is a great circuit for fans. It's a fantastic fan experience. Madrid, I just don't rate it. I don't trust it. I don't even think it's in central Madrid. But no YouTuber's going to say anything now. It's like, and no one's going to listen to me now. No one's going to... If I do a video in a year's time where I say, oh, Madrid is this, it wasn't right. It wasn't right going from Catalonia to Madrid. People will say like, oh, you were hyping Madrid earlier. I want to make it clear, I'm not hyping Madrid. I'm anti Formula 1 going from Catalonia to Madrid. Right, everyone, I'm going to head off then. I will see you back. I'll see you back at 5 o'clock. I'll make a quick video as well for Formula Fan TV. But I will see you then. So it should take you there automatically if you want to